Dear members of the European Academy of Sciences and Arts and dear guests, once again, I would like to welcome you to the continuation of our successful Arts Meets Science lecture series. Once again, the Dean of the class of Arts, Violeta Dinescu, and the Dean of the class of Medicine, Dušan Šuput, have put together an interesting program this evening. Once again, my sincere thanks for this. The interdisciplinary links between art and science, which are in the center of the profile of our Academy of Science and Arts, will play a central role in this series of events. The first lecture this evening will create a bridge between art and technology insofar as it focuses on the relationship between music and photography. The work of the American photographer Francesca Woodman will now be considered. In her short life, in the 60s and the 70s of the last century, she mostly left behind portrait photographs that appear strangely fragmentary, alienated, and incomplete. You can have a first impression in the internet. There are several pictures and photos of her. In the depiction of her own body, the images are also very extreme for the time in the 60s and the 70s. As a philosopher now, this type of art reminds me of the deconstructivism of the French philosopher Jacques Derrida, who was very influential in expressing the so-called zeitgeist, the spirit of time in the 60s and the 70s. We are used to the tradition of art that every picture, music, or literary text expresses a certain unique meaning and a certain sense or significance. Deconstructivism in the 1960s wanted to critically dissolve, to deconstruct assumed meaning in a text or image. What often remains are unconnected fragments and the feeling of incompleteness. Like Heidegger before, now Derrida and his numerous students aimed to deconstruct traditional metaphysics and the world of traditional ideas. Deconstructivism was an extremely influential philosophical movement that was represented in literature, art, and architecture in the time of Francesca Woodman. I see, therefore, Francesca Woodman's pictures as an expression of this deconstructivist movement. It will be now exciting to see how the music expresses this intellectual movement and the mood associated with it. The second lecture this evening is about contemporary literature and poetry for children and young people. I consider this topic to be extremely important for education and upbringing in the age of new media and AI. Anyone who has children themselves, I have 4, or works in the teaching profession will immediately know what I mean. Just like us adults, children and young people today are flooded with short-term signals from new media. For them, it is no longer possible to concentrate on the longer text, films, lectures, and so on. The stimuli have to be permanently reinforced and changed in order to maintain attention. In addition, films and media games are easier to consume than concentrating on reading text for long periods of time. The challenge, of course, will be today to find new forms of literary expression to do justice to this new style of consumption. I'm afraid this applies not only to children and young people, but also to adults nowadays. In the end, both lectures are about how we want to and can understand and communicate contemporary music, images, literatures, and poetry. I'm very curious, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Klaus Mainzer. I am very happy to introduce Sylvia Hinz, especially for musicians and composers, but not only, also for spillover tonight, and also all our public will be very interested in Sylvia Hinz. She was born in 1967. She studied a recorder at the Berlin University of the Arts with Gerd Lüneburger, and she became one of the world's leading recorder players, specializing in contemporary music and improvisation. She is also a conductor, lecturer, initiator, founder of the ensemble XelmYa, Umbratono, and others. She succeeds in combining sound, electronics, video art, and works interdisciplinary on the topic of the experimental music. Sylvia Hinz curates and performs solo programs, concerts with ensemble orchestras, loves unusual instrumentations and collaborations with other arts. She promotes international collaborations, undertakes concert tour worldwide, and gives masterclasses and workshops. Sylvia Hinz received many awards, artistic residencies, and fellowships. She writes us all over the world. She's playing all over the world, so I'm very happy to invite Sylvia Hinz to us tonight.
Good evening, and thank you for the invitation. A quick remark, I was born in 1968. It doesn't matter this 1 year, but anyway. Okay, so let's start with the next interesting thing, which is gone now. What happens? This is my name, still Sylvia Hinz, in dialogue with Francesca Woodman, and it's about music and photography, a topic which interests me my whole life, to be honest. Also, when I started as a child already with those small cameras for children to do fancy photos and just to try out what is possible to do with them. And here are a few links, and if you want, I can put them in the chat for later. About Francesca Woodman, there's one thing which is really important for her, it's hidden worlds and hidden identities. So in the photos, we will see when we visit the website together that she is not always visible. She's hiding behind a mirror, or she is hiding, concealing herself behind a tapestry or something. So it's about the body, but also about the body in a certain environment. And she's known primarily for her self-portraits. And this is something which is also very interesting, citation. I feel like I am floating in plasma. I need a teacher or a lover. I need someone to risk being involved with me. I am so vain and I'm so masochistic. How can they coexist? Francesca Woodman was born in 1958 and she died at age 22 by taking her own life. And I think this is something we really can see in her pictures. So this is the foundation, the side of the foundation. I was not allowed to work with the photos because it's not considered research what I do, but we can take a look at the pictures. So here we have different ones every day. So this one is one of those I was talking about. So she is present in the picture. This is one of the pictures I was talking about earlier. So this is her standing next to a wall in a quite broken down or in a ruin of a house, and she is hiding in tapestry, but you can still see that it's the shape of a person. Maybe it's not clear that it's the shape of a woman, but yeah, it's the shape of the person. Mostly her photos are in black and white, and very interestingly, she's also focusing on the cracks on the wall. And this is something which is very important for me to engage with the music, because it's not like a nice Polaroid, very colorful, but there's a lot going on, a lot white, a lot gray, a lot flowers, but not really colorful. And there is the shape of the person. It is very calm. And so we can put all that in music later. And so this is one of the photos. I have to go back to the gallery now. And another one, which is very interesting also, it was, she took that one in Rome. Here we have a house in a better shape than before. There are not so many cracks, but there also we see the figure of a woman, but we can't see her face. And she is hanging in the door frame, maybe blocking someone from going out, maybe seeking attention, we don't know. But it's also a very interesting concept to put yourself in a setting like a Puppenstube, but yeah, we have a chair, nobody is sitting there, and then at some moment she decides to get up and puts herself in front of the door frame. Then there is the next one, which is very important for me on my work, because the two pieces I created so far are both named Gegenüber, but one is named Flüstern. This is the first one we will listen to soon. And the next one is called Spiegel. And there are a lot of photos by her in front of a mirror or behind a mirror or next to a mirror. Here's another one. And it's also very interesting because it's a very fascinating way of hiding oneself, because you are still motivated to look at the mirror, but you can't see anything. You can't see the person hiding behind the mirror. Okay, so that was that. Now it's about the first piece I created. As I said, it's called Gegenüber 1, Flüstern, whispering. And I created it the way that I asked a very mixed group of females from different countries to whisper words I created or I extracted from viewing her photos. And we had to do the recordings while I was in residency in Finland. The only place where there was no audible presence of the ferry next to the house was at the sauna. So we met at the sauna and I recorded the ladies, and then yes, so I was able to recreate whispering tape out of those whispers. And since it doesn't work like I wanted, we will do it in a different way. I will first play a little bit of the tape, but we do it right. Yes, we will do it like old school with the speaker. Let's see. Mirror, mirror reflection. Okay, so this was the whispering, and we have two women from Finland, one from the US, three from Germany, one from Ukraine, one from England. And the approach regarding the whispering was very different. So like Oksana, the friend from Ukraine, was using the whispering a little bit like very, very violently. It was a mirror, stuff like that. And she was under the impression that she had to throw the words in the direction of the recording device. While Julie from the US was very soft and very smooth. And I really liked the different characters of all the women. So it was really, really cool. This is my recreation. Instead of the photo from Francesca Woodman, I had to recreate something, and it's coming now. I hope you can hear something.
It works. Good.
Excellent. I'm happy. And this is the mirror of my great-grandmother. So I try to channel Francesca Woodman with that one.
We do not hear anything. It is only image without sound?
No, it's also sound, but the sound is not there. Okay, if the sound is not there, then we will do it old school again. This is very interesting, really. Okay.
Reflection.
Now we can hear something. Yeah.
You hear something or not? Yes. Okay.
Yes, we hear now.
Yeah. Okay. So this was my text score, the words I extracted from watching the photos of Francesca Woodman. So mirror, reflection, shape, despair, light, darkness, otherness, thoughts, ideas. Frau, weiblich, anders, Spiegel, Fläche, Dunkelheit, gegenüber. And those were the words the ladies were whispering. And some of them also tried out the German words or added the words in their own language. So we hear German, English, Ukrainian, and Finnish words there. And the next one, the Spiegel one, there's a live recording, and the main idea here was to have the mirror really as a main companion. And so for the tape, I played double bass. Sounds like this. And I tried to play the double bass in with the idea of a broken mirror and the shapes of the mirror. So maybe that's audible. And before I accompanied the tape with the double bass recorder, and now I have the double bass and have a live recording. And this live recording is with an Eagle Alto. It is a live concert at Unerhörte Musik last year. So I hope this is going to work. Looks like I'm sharing. Okay, so let's see.
I don't hear nothing.
Me too, also, nothing. But I suppose it's very pianissimo.
No, actually it's not. It's a computer problem. Okay, I can see if I have the audio here, but now my iPad doesn't speak to me anymore. Okay, so let's see. No.
I'm sorry, Sylvia, but it's already very late.
Yes. Yes.
So I hope we have interest to look at your interesting internet page to discover your universe, sound universe.
Yes, I'm very sorry about this.
We and we shall have comments and questions at the end. And please, Dušan, I would like to ask you to invite
this one.
Violeta.
Can you see it? I hope.
We see. Thank you.
Okay.
It is not the first time we have a disaster, technical disaster. So we just hope
we already started with it today, right? I mean,
thank you.
So,
Dušan.
Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce the next speaker, who is Dr. Milutin Đuričković. He was born in 1967 in Dečane in Serbia, and I have a very nice memory of Dečane when I was in gymnasium, and there was still Yugoslavia. We visited all parts of former Yugoslavia, also Dečani, and we were accepted there by monks with wonderful dark red wine. But Dr. Milutin Đuričković, he's a writer. He studied first in Pristina, and he was at the Department of Philology, Serbian philology, and then he earned his doctorate at the Faculty of Philosophy in Sarajevo. Now he works as a professor at the College of Professional Studies for Educators in Aleksinac. He published 67 books for children and for adults, and he's a member of Association of Writers in Serbia, Association of Journalists of Serbia, Association of Playwrights of Serbia, and European Academy of Arts and Sciences. So he is our member, and please, Dr. Đuričković, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, dear friends and academics. My work about contemporary children's literature will be presented in written form. In this paper, I will discuss about development, status, and perspective of contemporary literature for children and youth in my country and worldwide. However, before that, I will attempt to present the relationship between cultural policy in this art form, which holds an unequal position in some countries around the world because it is unjustifiably considered less important and significant. But let's proceed step by step. We understand the concept of culture in the usual institutional sense, which refers to the entire social heritage of a group of people, community, or society. On the other hand, the cultural policy in just one form of general state policy implemented in the field of culture and all its constitutive elements, theater, film, music, literature, painting, media, and so on. By its nature, encompasses whole range of activities within one sector, functioning as part of official public institutions and relevant bodies, ministries, associations, agencies, and so on. The design, implementation of cultural policy are guided primarily by national, strategic, and other state interests and the corresponding ideology. Contemporary literature for children and youth demonstrates how cultural and national identities nurtured based on historical facts and spiritual values from antiquity to the present day. Hence, cultural policy in literature for children and youth plays the role on the promoter and propagator implemented based on the professional decisions, aesthetic quality, and legal regulations. These, in fact, speak to a high level of ethnical and aesthetic self-awareness among contemporary writers for children and youth, who through their creations indeed care about young generations, their education and upbringing, and especially about the cognitive function and significance of national culture and values. Many contemporary publications are written with the aim of developing and nurturing national feelings and cultural self-awareness among school-aged children, and as such they have substantial support from the Ministry of Culture, writers' associations, and institutions that officially assist in the translating and these books into many languages worldwide: English, German, Japanese, Swedish, Chinese, Russian, Italian, Serbian, and so on. These and other facts unequivocally show that a planned and systematic cultural policy in generally conducted when it comes to literature for children and youth, as confirmed by numerous projects, publishing endeavors, translations, awards, promotions, book fairs, international results, and more. In developed and democratic countries, publishing houses, cultural institutions, and other organizations have several primary goals and tasks: to implement national policy aimed at books and reading, to undertake various initiatives and actions to affirm children's books, to connect and coordinate the work of authors, illustrators, translators, editors, publishers, booksellers, agents, critics, and readers. To provide necessary information about cultural events in the field of literature for children and youth. To nurture friendly and cooperative relationships with all interested parties in culture and literature. These and other data undeniably show that much effort the work are invested in publishing culture and literature, especially in creativity for children and youth, which is highly valued worldwide. In many countries, there are associations and institutes for children's literature, which again illustrates the level and quality of international cultural cooperation. Cultural policy is also directed towards translation work and publishing works from national literature into many foreign languages. Therefore, the Ministry of Culture of each country has a special funding program to encourage publishers to translate contemporary literature for children and youth. Special attention is also given to electronic editions, as the need for literature to reach as far and wide as possible. Cultural policy, based exclusively on high professional and aesthetic criteria, established by a whole team of experts from various fields, whose principles and goals are determined by law. True artistic values, cultural heritage, and spiritual goods are proclaimed, contributing to the creations of conditions for the dignified presentation of national interests worldwide. The legal and organizational frameworks of cultural policy are in line with the cultural policy of the European Union as outlined in a special program. Such cultural policy also encourages and directs major cultural content that is appropriate for the affirmation of national identity both domestically and internationally, with literature for children and youth being viewed with greater respect and attention. These are just some of programmatic goals of cultural policy derived from political documents of a general and strategic nature. The ideological model of cultural and the mutual connection with the current cultural policy are partly carried out by contemporary writers for children and youth, especially those who write stories, novels, comics. Many creating and promoting national culture, history, and spiritual values by avoiding didactic and moralizing certain writers, strive to influence to so-called shaping of consciences in readers by returning in their works to the civilization of the past. It is achievements and the richness which is can be understood as a kind of ideological shaping and of the produced child audience. Contemporary literature for children and youth worldwide is experiencing certain creative, ideological, thematic, stylistic, and genres changes contained not only in the so-called generational shifts, but also in historical, theoretical, and general critical perspectives, which are by their nature in step with the times and the accepted methodological and scientific professional approach. I will short my work. Given that literature for children and youth is constantly developing and enriching as a continuous dialectical process, it is understandable and logical that aesthetic standards, criteria, and methodological theoretical foundations, as well as the entire literary research system, should progress accordingly. This system is inherently indivisible and universally applicable in semantic multiplicity and creative perspective. As a spiritual activity and driving force, the critique of children's literature must continue to be anticipatory and popularizing, contributing in multiple ways to the understanding and perception of world and of childhood and the poetics of writing words for children and youth. Therefore, this desired act of understanding, as René Velek would say, is both the result and the goal we strive for that represents, in fact, of the leading and creative principles of many genuine literary critic thought. Whether we like it or not, the fact is that children and youth are reading less and less, as shown in many studies conducted by educators, caretakers, and teachers from various backgrounds. Not reading is slowly, but surely becoming a serious problem of broad proportions with complex roots and potentially consequences. This means that family and school education are facing significant challenge. The causes of the reading crisis are most often associated with media and modern communications, which take away valuable time from children and youth, primarily offering them entertainment, kids, leisure, preschool, and the like. Therefore, it is necessary to motivate children, starting from age when the love for books begins and develops. The culture of reading is a permanent and continuous process that should be carefully and systematically nurtured with constant monitoring, writing journals, school reading lists, reading badges, various ideas, suggestions, creative works, and so on. Considering that we live in a time of rapid and diverse changes, books and reading have a special role and significance in the spiritual value system. However, much of this changed with the advent of the internet as of means of communication. It is very efficient in a range of conveniences and advantages to different interests, tastes, and ambitions. The use of the internet is varied. It can be professional, private, informative, and so on. When it comes to so-called distance learning, the internet is indispensable and valuable as it allows for correspondence and flow of various information, provides literature, various data, and so on. Thus, the possibilities in the internet are far-reaching, making it is a part of our daily lives. However, when it comes to children, attention must be paid to the other side of the coin. Specifically, there are many things on the internet that the youngest should not encounter. Everything that interests them, children and youth can find on the internet within moments, including biographies and photos of many authors, passages from books, illustrations, and the whole range of the other details that are not found in books. In the past, children were lulled in the cradle with their mothers, song and lullaby, then with the reading of poems and bedtime stories. But now children are given music, cassettes, video recordings, and other technical means that replace books and reading. This phenomenon is very widespread and indicates that from the young age, children are deprived of books, which leads to a loss of the habit and desire for them. This means in the engagement of the broader intellectual community and experts from various fields is necessary, not just parents, teachers, and writers. The modern era in which we live has brought new form of communication and interaction, where much of it is reduced to bare news and information. This is well illustrated by marketing principle. The world is news. In the constellation of such social relations, we ask ourselves, we can agree with the idea that we live in a civilization where there is more and more information and less meaning. In this sense, in the end, some form of control over this informational and virtual world, which spiritually pollutes children and adversely affects their psycho-emotional and sociological development, is necessary. Of course, modern men must keep up with the times, but not all cost and not detriment of books and children. This is the gist of the possible approaches and interpretations, with the note that there is not finally analysis. This is one ongoing process that unfolds daily. Contemporary literature for children and young people is flourishing, and much is expected of it. Let this modest essay be a stimulus for the future reflections and discussion. It will be all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you also, Dušan.
Thank you for your lecture. I think that now it's time for questions. Please go ahead.
Livia Teodorescu, the composer Livia Teodorescu Ciocana.
Hello, everybody. I am willing to ask the first speaker about her work, her original work. That means this attempt to translate in music photography. Photography is an instant, a captured instant, freezed in time, which emanates emotions, yes? And that allows us to feel something and to reflect. By the contrary, music is a flow in time, and that triggers emotions and sometimes images in our mind. I wish to ask you, how do you feel about these opposites? Do you feel they are complementary, or they evolve autonomously while you are improvising music?
Thank you very much. Very interesting question. So I think, I hope my mic is working now. Yes. So I think that both is both. So I think the before and in between and the after, you can maybe not see in a photography, but you have a feeling of it, that like the composition of the photography, which always has some room in time. I don't know how to put it in a different way.
Yes.
And so this matches perfectly with music, I think, because every note we play or every word we say is frozen in time, because you said it. So it's there and you can't take it back. technically. And so I think there is both things are really connected. And on this, in the same time, you have, of course, you can't make a video out of a single photo. So when you put the photo one next to each other, then no movement will happen. And you have to construct it with your brain.
Yes.
But I think the human brain, especially the ones of artists, are very capable of that.
Yes. I could add that after we hear a piece of music, we could recreate it in our mind as an image,
Mhm.
as a frozen image. So it is both directions, in both
Absolutely,
directions.
yes, absolutely. I think so. Yes, I agree fully. And I also like this idea. I don't remember who said it, but that music is frozen time, and so that you have really this
Like a
idea.
sculpture in time, and you have it's a
Yes.
sculpture in time, and
Yeah.
yes, and
Yeah.
it's like time is frozen in this architecture of music.
Mhm. Absolutely. And so this is almost everything is interchangeable in that direction, I think.
Yeah.
So it's really great to work interdisciplinary and also to use your own brain to put something more to it, or maybe just help others to maybe see behind the picture.
Yes, of course, and reflect it in music. Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
thank you also, and I hope so much to maintain the correspondence between both of you. Olivia, I have the visual that you can compose for Sylvia, so I shall allow me to give you the mails and correspondence.
Thank
And
you so
thank you
much.
very much. And now Martin Kowalewski, the philosopher and Musikwissenschaftler. Please, Martin.
I'm only philosopher, but okay. I have a question. I also take photos, and I find it very fascinating. Often it's a microsecond, and a little microsecond, and it's so short. And this very short impression is something so different to an art which is needed to be related to time and to be played in time. And to composite something, to compose something means to put things together, and there are the main differences. I think what we see in a photo is merely, I would not call it a sculpture, it's merely a scenery, but a microsecond. But you said there's something often hidden in these pictures. It's the person itself. And I thought it is this the case where you find the key to come to an art which needs the extension in time. And when you compose, do you more think in atmospheres or in thoughts or in something like Gestalt yes, we call it Gestalt, because you all use different things like semantics also, and this is merely in relation to a cognitive process. Maybe you can say something about this.
First, I don't see myself as a composer, to be honest, because I hate writing down notes.
Okay. Yeah.
So for me, I'm more an initiator and
Yes.
more like working on concepts
Yeah.
and then proposing them to others and see what is going to happen. I'm also very open. Most composers are very clingy about this is not a diss, this is just an observation, like that they have a certain note and they want this note like they want the note and nothing else is possible.
Okay.
And so for me, it's more the collaborating moment also. So what regarding your question, it's everything at the same time actually. So when I look at a piece of art, might be a sculpture, it might be a photo, I have a certain idea. So something hits me. And or in the words of like Terry Pratchett, so I'm standing where an idea comes flying around and then the idea hits me and then I try to put it into words or into a sound. For me, it's easier to put it into a sound actually, so I have sound scores. and then I present them to others, and they do something with it. And so it's a layer and a layer and a layer and a layer, and a
it's
different
not
thought,
teleological.
and it goes, and it's like an amoeba, or it's also something like an octopus sometimes.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
I'm happy. So look, Peter Hermann, Dušan, Peter Hermann.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Okay.
Thank you. I just wanted to come back to the short exchange between Livia and Sylvia. There was this term used in translation. And Sylvia, your last contribution made something clear. What I wanted to say already, made it clear already. This, you cannot really have a starting point in a strict sense. And I would like to, in terms of, or instead of using this term interaction or interdisciplinary as well, or translation, the term relationality. The concept, which I think is very important, that it is a permanent flow of something where you cannot determine single sequences or single points. As soon as you do it, it changed already. And as soon you do it, you changed already by doing so.
Absolutely. Yes.
In this sense, it's I like your remark, I'm not composer because I hate writing notes. At the same time, it is reflecting, I think, especially this, this is in a special way, that you can be composer without writing notes.
Of course, it's just the word I do not like. And so I just push the word away and use initiator. And I think that's more me, just. I don't see myself as a composer. And also in my generation, they work very much with paper and yeah, so it's okay. I mean, but for me, it's not really. And with the energy, I fully agree. It's also a point, what happens to yourself, and how do you look at the painting or at the picture, or the sculpture, and what happened during the day before you look, and so what shape are you in, or what energy flows from you towards the picture. And this is also something you have to take into account when you want to translate it. Yes, absolutely.
Which I think briefly only it's opening wide field as well then to other parts of science, not released quantum mechanics, quantum theories.
Absolutely.
Yes. But there you have the same reflection, and that's just what I like to explore. These well, not crossing borders, but not accepting borders, if you want.
Yeah. I'm also working on the topic of caustics right now. And this is also something very interesting to me, and to there you have to constrain yourself and to say, okay, I have to be at a certain point at a certain time of the day to be able to see it and to be able to take it in and work with the energy and maybe construct music out of it later or translate it to music. And so, yes, I'm fully with you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that Klaus...
Yeah. A short comment before we come to quantum theory. That was a suggestion of the last comment, I think, and that was the idea of my introduction when I saw these photographs and pictures for the first time, to try to understand these pictures in the context of the time, namely the time of the 60s and 70s in the last century. That was, by the way, exactly the time of my student time. And I remember very well and have a clear feeling what was going on in that time. And as you know, I'm a philosopher, and I remember very well that was a time where the French philosophy in literature, in art, in music, everywhere, were very influential. Jacques Derrida, I mentioned him, and a lot of his students in literature and so on. And the idea was that in tradition, we have a clear idea. When we see an image, it is a whole, and it has a clear sense, and we can understand it. But then in that time, the impression that these clear ideas and clear meanings coming up from the tradition are destroyed. There is no clear sense. There are fragmentary details. Nobody knows exactly how they are aligned, and a feeling of incompleteness. That was typical. And that was brought to the point with several very influential books of Jacques Derrida, especially in France, to the direction which was called deconstructivism. That means the sense should be dissolved. Behind that, there was also in that time a critical attitude to the traditional metaphysics and meanings and all kinds of ideologies, and it should be critically dissolved and deconstructed. That was a typical tendency of their time, and expressed, as I mentioned before, in literature and so on. And when I saw for the first time these pictures, I thought, exactly, that is the idea expressed here in photography. For example, in the picture, you saw a mirror, but only a part of a mirror, then a part of a human body, then a part of a wall, and it was coordinated in some strange and unusual composition. That was the picture, the image, the photograph. Now,
Also,
I was
when
curious
I can interrupt
to
you for a
learn
second.
learn more about the music. How was that expressed, or can that be expressed in the music, and especially you? How do you express these kind of incompleteness, of fragmentary details and strange arrangement?
Okay. First, I would like to say that most pictures you find online by Francesca Woodman are from the series where she was around 20, so like 20 or 19 even. So she was really very young when she created those pictures, and there are a lot not visible. There are, I think, 10,000 pieces of data left, and 800 pictures are now in the public, more or less. Okay, so for me, this, I mean, my music is very experimental, and the sounds are very fragile, and they are also at some point, depending on the picture, but the one with the mirror and the person, and in this room where you can see only fragments of it, is one of those where I would use a lot of wind, for example, and broken sounds like underblown multiphonics, or the voice a little bit like this, nothing clear. So something with noise added to it, but in a good way, which makes it fragile, very, very soft. And yeah, so that's the main idea. And the incompleteness is always there when you restrain yourself as a performer, and hopefully the audience also gets it.
Yes, thank you. I'm now very curious, and will try to hear your music, because I know that very well of that time in my academic youth, from the point of view of arts, literature, and philosophy, and so on. And I never heard it expressed in music, so I'm very curious to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting to present an image in music, and there are two ways, actually. First, you have association, and in that case, maybe when you see the same image the second, third, and 10th and 100th time, would it be the same impression? That is more or less emotional part of associations. Or do you try to make sounds like Klaus explained, showing, I mean, more intellectually, showing some incompleteness or something missing? You know, when you see a standing image, it is always a part of something. So what's your approach? Is more emotional or more intellectual? And then just not to repeat, I would have a question for Milutin Đuričković regarding books in sound. You know, what do you think about reading books to people? So please, first, about your approach.
Yes, it's actually both. I mean, since I am an academic in music, it's not possible to really keep the intellect out, at least for me. I can't do it. And also, I need my skills on the instrument to produce the incomplete sounds. So if I want to play an incomplete sound, I have to intellectually prepare for it and choose the right instrument, or choose a special sound on an electronic device, for example. And when I see those photos, it's not on the same side, in the same way, it's not possible to be emotionally absent when you see them, because it reminds you of something. It reminds you of a place you know, of a feeling you know. They transport so much. And so something comes to your mind. And then I think the tricky thing is really to combine it into something logical, more or less, and to combine it into a sound you can live with, connected to the photo.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Dr. Đuričković, could you give your opinion about reading books, you know, to record? I think we lost connection.
Milutin. Hello, Milutin.
Well, anyway, as I told you, Violeta, I have to go to the Philharmonics. The concert starts at 8, so goodbye to everybody. I have to get ready. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Dušan. Thank you very much. I suppose that Milutin doesn't hear us in order to answer the question of Dušan, but we can continue to communicate something until I discover if Milutin. But anyway, what do you think about communicating between now, Livia? I just see you, Livia and Sylvia. Please, Sylvia, could you invite Livia to write something for you? Do you have a spontaneous idea?
Yes, why not? I mean, of course, I would like her to write something for me if you're up to it, of course.
She's a wonderful composer, Sylvia. I'm very happy. And
yes.
Yeah.
And also, I can send you, I mean, we can communicate maybe via Violeta, that she sends us both the email addresses, and then I send you the instruments I have, and then you can choose from it. Or if not, it's also okay.
Yes. You know, I've written for the famous flutist Pierre Varto, if you know him. And he was able to do everything on flutes, and all sorts of flutes, including the bass flute. So I've written for him a concerto changing from alto flute to flute and piccolo, and then to bass flute. And that air, you know, that breathy sounds you can get from a flute, especially from bass flute.
Mhm.
Yeah, I noticed you can do on your all sorts of block flute.
Yes,
Yeah. So
it's
I
possible.
I would like to imagine something on your instruments.
Mhm. There are also the very big ones, and the
Yeah.
bigger, the more airy they sound, because you
Yeah.
have to use this air column. And I think the biggest one I have, yes, the biggest one I have is 2.20 m, and the air column is 3.60 m. There's a lot of air in 3.60 m.
Fantastic. Yes. Yes.
It's fun to play.
Yes, it's very, very nice.
Okay, I think there's another question regarding quantum mechanics. Maybe.
Hello. Yeah, please continue. I try now to discover if I can reach Milutin.
Okay.
Klaus, I think Sylvia just wanted to communicate with you.
With me?
Quantum mechanic. She's
No,
I
no,
think
no,
it's
no. This
Peter
evening,
Hermann.
no quantum mechanics.
No, it's Peter Hermann.
Yeah, no quantum mechanic. I was a little bit surprised that you said I cannot switch off the intellectual, the rational, the intellectual approach. I'm wondering, why should you? This sounded a little bit, perhaps I should, why should you? And if you go back in music history, it goes actually back, and I think this is very interesting. Won't engage in this in detail, but it goes back to Pythagoras, who is known as mathematician, but he was very engaged in thinking about music, calculating in a way music, and saying this is a very important approach to, well, what we would probably call understand music, but it's a different way of understanding. And again, there we have this flow between different approaches to one and the same thing, that we want to recognize, that we want to understand some part of reality and express it in terms of our understanding what to do with it. Because that's always the thing. It's not just for the sake of la pour l'âme, but it's this, we want to have some influence on our own reality or the wider reality.
Yes, also I think when we interact with whatever, we also want to add to the possibilities out there. So I guess when I see something and it's not sounding, I hear a sound in my head, and I would like to add the sound to this piece of art. And I mean, you're not forced to listen to it if you just want to watch it. This is absolutely important. And on the other hand, you can also only listen to it without watch it first. So I think it's maybe the next level of of abstraction, if you want to put it that way, and also to keep your keep your mind engaged and also your soul, because there's also for us as artists, when we see something in nature, so we have a certain feeling, and as a musician, the feeling is always related to some music, this way or another, and to create a piece for others so they can experience what I just felt. I think it's important for me to do that. Yes.
And even mathematicians can do it, can do something with it.
Yes, why not? I also played for chemists and physicists, so it's fine for me.
I have another question, if I am allowed.
Yes, please.
Violeta, can I ask you something? You see, we have photos and we have painters, we have pictures, yes, paintings. Do you think musically you would approach differently a photo and painting?
yes, because in the painting I also see the movement of the brush or the movement of the person who painted it, because that one is not really frozen in time, at least in my mind. And I had collaborations with a painter too, and there was also a certain sound to her movement of the brush when she was painting or drawing live when I was playing. And I learned to think a little bit also of the direction of the brushing, and so that one is not so static as the photography for me.
So you think the photo is more powerful for your music imagination?
Sometimes maybe, sometimes not. I think sometimes it's more powerful because you have more possibilities around it and you have to dive deeper into it. But with some paintings, especially the ones like from the beginning of the last century, when you have abstract paintings, then I think it's actually similar. So you also have to dive very deep into it and then surround yourself with the color and the idea of the painter and the architecture of the painting.
Yeah, it could be very powerful.
Yeah, so it's very similar.
A famous example, by the way, because you mentioned the last century, the beginning of the last century in abstract modern painting was, of course, Paul Klee.
Yes, of
Because
course.
Klee was a painter and a musician,
Yes.
and therefore in some of his pictures he tried, very unusual for a painter, to explain dynamics, because dynamics is in time, change of states, that is typical for music. And actually, traditionally, that was also the doctrine of Aristotle in painting. There is no time. There's no dynamics, no development. And he tried to explain it. But as far as I know, he thought, of course, of painting and not of photographs. Otherwise, photography came up in exactly his lifetime. And so it would be interesting to compare these ideas. He was also a great theoretical writer, Paul Klee, to consider his writing again and his ideas about that with your modern approach now with photographies.
I did that, I think 10, 15 years ago as an ensemble piece. There's I don't know what the name of the painting was. Yes, I don't know. There were a lot of different colors.
Yeah. They are in the superposed way. That was the idea of Klee.
I do not remember the name of it. It was very interesting, like blue vase or something. It had nothing to do with painting. And but it was very interesting, because then we decided, okay, who's more greenish, who's more bluish, and then we tried to find out which are the best sounds for this color. So like what sound is a color, you know? And it was a very, very interesting process. And I did it with young people around between 11 and 18, a bunch of 10 young people. And it was really cool to work with them that way and to discuss all this. How do you feel color? How do you see a square? Is a square a square, or is this one more square than the other square, and stuff like that. So it's really great. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I tried to communicate with Milutin, but he doesn't answer. I have his telephone number. But Milutin, do you hear us now? Hello, Milutin? No, maybe it happened something with his microphone. But you know, I find the discussion so interesting. It's so after the technical disaster, which is also always possible, the possibility to come in contact with each other. So it's such a fruitful situation. Thank you so much. So I see also Aneta Paco. Thank you for coming. And also Mauricio Piso, I see you. If you please, if you do not answer or comment anymore, so we may say, I just to try if somebody would like to make a comment. No, I do not think anybody. So thank you so much, Klaus. Now we say bye-bye and we invite you in 2 weeks to come again. Thank you so much, Klaus. You have the last word, please. Also.
The last word. No, I will be fragmentary, such as this amazing artist. I must say, it was for the first time that I saw her pictures, and more I became fascinated by it, and I even discussed it in my family. I showed these pictures to some family members, and we discussed about that for the first time. And I remembered especially the time when these remarkable artists lived. And I think I was also touched by the fate of this very young artist. And she is the daughter of an artist family. Her parents were already engaged in arts, and then this tragic fate. I was touched by that, I must say. And then this time, which was also my time, anyway, it was a very interesting experience for me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you also, and all the best for you. See you again, and have a wonderful time all over where you are. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Good.